In this topic, we shall discuss the lives and contribution of Kenyan leaders Jomo Kenyatta and Wangari Maathai. Jomo Kenyatta was the first president of the Republic of Kenya, founding father of the nation. He was one of the leading nationalists in Kenya and Africa. The late Professor Wangari Maathai was also a renowned Kenyan leader who greatly contributed to Kenya's development as a female leader. Kenyatta was born in Gatundu in the early 1890s. His real name was Kamau Wangengi. His parents were Muigai Wangengi and Wamboi. He spent most of his early life at Dagoretti, where he lived with his maternal grandfather, Kungu Wamagana. He joined Thogoto Mission School and obtained elementary education. He then moved to Nairobi, where he worked as a clerk with Municipal Council of Nairobi. He acquired the name of Kenyatta from a heavily beaded Maasai belt he wore always. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta is one of the nationalists who shaped the history and politics of Kenya before and after independence. His political career began when Kenyatta became a member of Kikuyu Central Association, KCA. He then became the secretary of Kikuyu Central Association and the editor of Kikuyu Central Association newspaper, Muigwithania. Muigwithania published articles about African grievances against colonial rule, such as land, forced labor, and taxation. He traveled to London to present Kikuyu grievances to the colonial government in 1929. While in London, Kenyatta wrote articles in a newspaper called Daily Worker concerning alienated African land and arrest and detention of Harry Thuku. Kikuyu Central Association had been formed in 1924 to agitate for the grievances of the Africans. Kenyatta, who was busy by this time in London, worked hard to strengthen the organizations and represented its demands to Hilton Young Commission. While in London, he published his famous book Facing Mount Kenya. He returned back to Kenya in 1946, where he got involved in the struggle for independence. Kenyatta contributed a lot to the struggle for independence in Kenya. Among his contributions were, he became the president of Kenya African Union, KAU, after James Gishuru stepped down in his favor. He was a member of Pan-African Movement, which was against colonization of Africa. He believed in using constitutional reforms other than violence as a method of attaining independence. He conducted rallies all over the country to foster nationalism, which brought various communities together. The Mau Mau activities led to the declaration of state of emergency in October 1952. Kenyatta was arrested together with other leaders of KAU. Kenyatta traveled throughout the country, holding rallies and addressing the people. This alarmed the colonial government. Kenyatta and other 5 leaders of KAU were sentenced to 7 years in Kapenguria prison. They became known as Kapenguria Sikhs. These were Jomo Kenyatta, Paul Ngei, Bildad Kagya, Kungu Karumba, Achieng Oneko, and Fred Kubai. In 1961, KANU won the elections, but the party refused to form the government until Kenyatta was released from detention. In 1961, Kenyatta was set free and became the president of KANU. In 1962, he attended the Second Lancaster House Conference to discuss the constitution that led Kenya to independence in 1963. In June 1963, KANU won the general elections and Kenya attained self-government with Kenyatta as the first prime minister. On 12 December 1963, Kenya attained independence. On 12 December 1964, Kenya became a republic. Kenyatta ruled the country until his death in August 22, 1978. In this lesson, we will analyze the life and contribution of the late Professor Wangari Maathai, who until her death on 25th September 2011 was known for her efforts in environmental conservation. The late Professor Wangari Maathai was born in Tetu Nyeri in 1940. She attended Ihithe and St. Cecilia primary schools before joining Loreto Limuru Girls for her secondary education. She later joined Mount St. Scholastica College in Atchison, Kansas, where she obtained a degree in biological sciences in 1964. In 1966, she earned a Master of Science degree from the University of Pittsburgh. She went on to obtain a PhD from the University of Nairobi, where she was also teaching in 1971. This made her the first woman in East and Central Africa to acquire a doctorate degree. In 1976, she became chairperson of the Department of Veterinary Anatomy, and later on, in 1977, she became an associate professor at the University of Nairobi. In both cases, she was the first woman to attain those positions in the region. In 1982, she resigned from teaching and joined political activism and active politics. The late Wangari Maathai is one of the personalities who have greatly contributed to the development of this country. In 1976 to 1987, Wangari Maathai was actively involved in the activities of the National Council of Women in Kenya. In 1981 to 1987, she was the chairperson of the National Christian Council of Women. While here, she introduced the idea of community tree planting. Later, she formed the Green Belt movement, which has helped plant 40 million trees on community lands, including farms, schools, and church compounds. In 1986, the Green Belt movement established the Pan-African Green Belt Network, which has exposed the idea of tree planting in other African countries. Countries that have established Green Belt movements successfully include Tanzania, Uganda, Malawi, Lesotho, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. In 1988, she launched the campaign known as Jubilee 2000 Coalition. This was an organization that sought to see cancellation of the unpayable debts of the poor countries in Africa by the year 2000. She has campaigned against land grabbing and illegal allocation of forests. Internationally, she is recognized for her struggle for democracy, human rights, and environmental conservation. Wangari's achievements include, in 2004, she got the most prestigious award, the Nobel Peace Prize. In the same year, she got the Sophie Prize, the Petra Kelly Prize for Environment, and the Sterling Morton. Others include, in 2003, Wango Environment Award. In 2004, she got an Outstanding Vision and Commitment Award, as well as the Excellence Award from Kenyan Community Abroad. In 1981, she got Hunger Project's Africa Prize for Leadership, and in 1989, she got the Women of the World Award. Wangari Maathai received honorary doctorate degree from the following institutions. In 1990, Williams College, MA, USA. In 1994, Hobart and William Smith College. In 1997, University of Norway. And in 2004, Yale University. Other achievements of Wangari Maathai are: she successfully campaigned against the construction of a 60-story building at Uhuru Park. She also stopped the acquisition of forest land by private developers. In December 2002, the late Wangari Maathai was elected as Member of Parliament for Tetu constituency and served as Assistant Minister for Environment and Natural Resources between 2003 and 2007 in Kenya's 9th Parliament. Professor Wangari Maathai died on 25th September 2011 at the age of 71.